No way. How much you want to bet? How much you want?
I don't
The
agree
line
with
is
that.
different. The line is going to be there's -5.
Hello world and welcome back to Grid Iron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, Donnie, DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nuwara. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please like the page and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, subscribe to your podcatcher of choice and rate and review. 5 stars only. Like another player who I think was number 1 in his class, if not up there, Laquan Treadwell. My first year playing Dynasty, people were spilling over themselves trying to get something Laquan. Brett, you were saying one of the few Ole Miss receivers that ended up not working.
Yeah, there's been
out.
a lot of hits out of that out of that college for some years.
Something Laquan was definitely not one of them. Not a lot of conviction from the collective this week. I'm trying to count it right now. I don't know if I'm doing any of this right. We recorded for like 10 minutes. I screwed something up. I literally pasted Donnie's card twice instead of having Brett's. So there was lots of confusion. And there's confusion amongst the collective in general because we have 9 split games. And every host has at least one lone wolf. Mo's lone wolf is his top pick, Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. A tipped interception, as Brett will be sweating this live on the podcast. And we start with a game where initially I was very worried because I have this very high and I thought I was a lone wolf, but I was very happy to see that Brett is also very high on this contest, and it's a double sounder game. The Houston Texans travel to Charlotte, the Queen City, to take on the Carolina Panthers. And CJ Stroud and them boys are 3-point favorites on the road in the battle of first quarterbacks taken in the 2023 NFL Draft. And Brett and I are on the absolute razor-sharp devil's dick side of Carolina. I see some head shaking. Listen, guys, I'm the Texans whisperer, okay? I've gotten this team right every week. I know what their cadence is. Nobody is higher on CJ Stroud than I am. But Brett, there's just a lot of things to like about this spot. One, I know this is something you looked into. Preseason, this was Panthers -3. So we're talking about a 6-point correction.
Panthers had a 7.5 win total. They're going to win 3 games. I think we should adjust them a little bit, guys.
And the most important thing going into this game is that bum Frank Reich realized that he's a bum and will no longer be calling plays for this Carolina offense. It is something Thomas Brown. Ask me again, I'll knock you down. He's a Sean McVay disciple. It's going to be motion. Going to be guys open. It's not just going to be the Thielen show. And then above all of that, this is the quadruple circled narrative of all narrative games. For months, everyone's telling Carolina, you picked the wrong quarterback. Bryce Young isn't it. If this isn't a spot, Brett, where the Panthers come out fired up to back up their guy, then they might as well pack it in and fire everybody because the season's
You're
over.
making all my points for me here. Everything you just said, I've got written down here. And look, I know this is a pro Texans podcast. We all love CJ Stroud and what this coaching staff has done with this roster so far, but you can't put a -3 next to this team when they're on the road. Not yet. Like, I don't care who they're playing. They have not been consistent enough yet to be laying a field goal in a professional football game. And like you said, Rich, this is the ultimate circled game. This is actually a circled game for both. It's a circled game for Stroud because Young was taken ahead of him in the draft, but it's more circled now for Young because everybody talking about Stroud for Rookie of the Year, Bryce Young, the big flop. If you redraft, you're never taking Young for number 1 overall. That's what everyone is saying about this kid. So a lot to prove.
And it's
in this one.
justified.
And it's all true, yeah.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, I can't get behind the Texans as 3-point road favorites yet. I'm just not there. And off the bye, Carolina with a new play caller. I think this is going to be a different Panthers team coming into this week, and I've got them money line. This is I'm pretty high on this one.
For those watching on YouTube, Mo was making a lot of gestations and throwing his hands up, but he's only got this middle of his pack, whereas DP has the Texans, CJ Stroud, the Stroud boys, in his top 5.
Only because I know it's going to be popular. That's literally the only reason.
Well, then that's even more of a reason to click Panthers. Go, DP.
I mean, I don't know why you're putting all your eggs into the basket of Thomas Brown calling plays for the first time with a horrible offense, a bad quarterback, receivers can't get open. I mean, what? Why is this like a huge thing? And it's not just you.
Receivers
it's
not
all,
schemed open. It's receivers not schemed
some
open.
brand new offensive coordinator is just going to come in and turn this shitty ass team into something somewhat meaningful on Sunday against a pretty good Texans team who has a really good defense and a good defensive minded head coach. Like what in the world makes you think this guy Thomas Brown is all of a sudden going to make these guys halfway decent? I mean,
it can't get any worse.
Yeah, exactly. They are horrible. The Panthers are so bad. You want to talk about the correction? Yeah, they haven't won a game. They suck, okay? It should be corrected, okay? You want to talk about a bye week? Well, the Texans are also off a bye week. I mean, like, what do you want to say? Like, I mean, come on. CJ Stroud, you can talk about all the narrative you want with Bryce Young. CJ Stroud has done nothing but show up every single week and look like a professional NFL quarterback. Bryce Young sucks. You think CJ Stroud and everything that he's gone through this season is all of a sudden just going to let Bryce Young come in and like have his Super Bowl against him? Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Mo, if the Texans had the first overall pick, who would they have taken in the draft?
I hope they would have taken Stroud.
They probably would have taken Will Anderson.
Anybody have any sense in the world? Why does everyone think Bryce Young was the shit?
I don't know, but people did. So why, after a 6-game sample, are we so sure that Stroud is that much better than Bryce Young? I think he is, but it's like we're talking about two different players completely right now. Are they that different?
Yeah, they are. Stroud is winning NFL games. He's competing on the road with decent teams, decent defenses, the Steelers, the Saints, the Falcons. He's playing against decent teams and playing well. Like, Bryce Young is horrible, dude. And listen, I don't know. I know Bryce Young has like scored a few points the last couple games. They were down 40 to the Lions, and they caught the Dolphins absolutely sleeping, 14-0, and they didn't score another point until it was 42-0. All right? So, what, dude? Who is something Thomas Brown? Why should I think this guy's going to do something? I don't know who this guy is. The Panthers blow, okay? The only thing the Panthers know how to do is get after the quarterback. That's the only thing they do on a reasonable NFL level. And guess what? CJ Stroud doesn't take sacks. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's going to be fine. I've seen this movie before so many times. We used to do this with the Browns when they were horrible, and they would play some other horrible team, and they would be getting plus 3.5, and we'd be like, okay, 3. No, these horrible teams, you can only take them when they're getting 7.5 or more. You cannot take the short lines, you guys.
Okay, so speaking of horrible teams with a short line, with a quarterback who probably doesn't meet the threshold, and a team that is handing away veterans in positions that matter, especially when they're horrific at doing that, why then, as we move to Falcons at Titans, how in God's name, I'm a little at a loss for words, can you click the Titans?
You're really comparing the Titans level of horrible?
Yes.
To the Panthers?
Yes, because the Titans are telegraphing that they're no longer going to be trying.
This is like saying, what was that guy? Anthony, whoever that guy was, the Cavs drafted. The Cavs, remember when the Cavs had the number 1 pick and they drafted that guy who was out of the league in 5 years? This is like saying that guy, he's number 1 pick. And LeBron James was a number 1 pick that went to the Cavs. No, these are worlds apart. The Titans are reasonable. They're bad, but they're token level bad. The Panthers are atrocious, dude. What are you not seeing here? The Titans have won and competed in NFL games.
Well,
the Panthers have not.
One team is trying to get better. The other is just letting veterans walk out the door and playing something called Levis at quarterback. Talk about the Titans.
Not even that something.
You're all in on the Titans this week.
He was going to be a top 5 pick.
All in. 10-unit whale play from Mo on the Titans.
I like the Titans this week. Why not? The Falcons, because the Falcons are going to come out and pound the rock against a team that's begging you to pound the rock.
Ritter has been excellent for 2 weeks in a row.
Come on. He's been fine.
Excellent. He's
still going to have multiple turnover-worthy plays. You know he will. And this is Vrabel pulling out all the stops like he does every time in these spots. You know this is Vrabel magic. You know it is.
Multiple turnover-worthy plays against the team that's 28th in pass defense EPA, 29th in pass to success rate, and just let their best DB walk out the door.
I get that, but you know they're coming. It's Ritter.
Based on what?
Based on he does it every week. He does it every week.
He didn't do it last week. Last week was just fluke fumbles. They marched last week.
How is that a fluke? He's the one who fumbled.
Brett, I know why you're on the Titans, because this is the capital L. This is personal foul leverage AF.
Ultra leverage. Everyone is going to have the Falcons. Every fake sharp loves the Falcons. Have you been on Twitter this week? Everyone is on the Falcons.
As they should be.
God, I love this play.
Not at 3. It's already down to 2.5 at influential offshore sites.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I knew this one would be in my account early in the week. It was 1.5.
This is stupid. You guys are just racing to the counter to bet on Will Levis.
No, I'm betting on Vrabel and this defense against Ritter.
No, because Will Levis is under center. So your money will be on that guy playing quarterback in pro football.
Sure, but my money will be against Desmond Ritter on the road
Who's
as a
cooking?
favorite. He's not.
Who's cooking?
He's not.
Absolutely cooking.
No, he's not. Titans get Tyler Tart back in the middle of that defensive line this week to bolster that defense. Like, Vrabel's going to go after Ritter this week. This is, again, like, you can't bet the Falcons and Ritter as road favorites. You can't.
You can when there's a very strong possibility that the opposing quarterback does not meet the threshold.
Well, we don't know.
What if Levis is good? We know Willis is bad. Yeah. Okay, if somebody said, "Okay, Willis is playing," yeah, I mean, I'm off it.
But if you had
keep it away from
if you had to assign,
Levis could be decent.
If you had to assign percentages, though, what is the percentage chance he doesn't meet the threshold?
Throw a dart at a board. Nobody knows.
Yeah. So if there's a 50% chance that this guy doesn't meet the threshold, then what are we doing here?
There's an 80% chance he's better than Malik Willis, so that's good enough for me.
There's a chance he's better than Ritter already. Like, Ritter's terrible.
I can't get behind that.
It's a great contest play.
Donnie, can you please talk some sense into these idiots?
I mean, I don't really have any notes here other than I know the Falcons have shown that they are willing at times to throw the ball much more so than they did coming into the season, and that's what you do against this Titans defense. Yeah, we all agreed Desmond Ritter's not that amazing. We get it. But he can go out there and throw the rock 40 times because he's done it in games before, so why not? And what the hell is Will Levis? I mean, come on. You can't honestly start this guy and think that this Titans team that is not that good to begin with is now just going to like be great. I mean, yeah, you can say what if, but I mean, you can't put any sort of reasonable confidence behind that. I don't have the Falcons that high, but like you can't back Will Levis. You can't do it. You can't.
Where you can get weird and go for some leverage is this next game. Bengals at Niners. This is the leverage spot. Okay, guys? And I'm glad Brett is with me because the most popular pick in the contest this week is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
No way. How much you want to bet? How much you want?
I don't
the
agree
line
with
is
that.
different. The line is going to be 49ers -5 when the game kicks off.
What?
It's already back up to 4.5. What is the difference between Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy? Everyone freaked out when Brock Purdy had a concussion. Then they realized these two idiots are the same. Who cares? It's still Shanahan in that offense. So let's go. The line's going to be 4.5 when contest entries have to be submitted on Saturday, for sure.
This is not going to steam.
If that's true, then we need to be all in on Cincinnati, guys.
Well, yeah, this game is all about the number, for sure. Because if it's 3.5 and people are going to line up to take the Bengals, you just absolutely have to click the Niners.
Why, though?
Because they're better at everything?
No. Like what? What about passing the football, which is the most important thing in the NFL?
Yeah, the Niners are excellent at that.
No. Not with Sam Darnold.
Why?
Not with Deebo Samuel out. Not with Silverback out.
Why?
Not with...
Juwan Jennings was shitting last week. I don't understand.
Not with Joe Burrow maybe actually being a human being again.
Maybe.
And T. Higgins
We haven't
also
seen that
maybe
yet either.
actually being a human being
on the road
again.
at San Francisco. Just plug it in. Burrow's going to be back.
Who cares? It's Joe Burrow's won playoff games. What? Nobody cares in San Francisco.
Joe Burrow's won playoff games because of coin. He went an entire Super Bowl run without having a net yards per play advantage.
Rich is back.
What is as Donnie said, what's the difference between Purdy and Darnold?
That's the cap. That's the cap.
Somebody explain it to me.
What if the Niners just aren't that great, though?
There's no signal of that, though.
What do you mean? The last 2 weeks,
they kicked the shit out of the Vikings, and the Vikings.
What are you talking about? Stop Vikings, what you're doing right now. You stop what you're doing.
The Vikings turned a turnover-worthy play, a literal interception, into a 60-yard touchdown, and then
great
Brock
play
Purdy
by that player. He made a great play. Give him some credit.
Stop it. And then Brock Purdy got concussed and threw 2 interceptions. Like, the Niners were fine in that game, which was a bad spot. Short week fine. On
I
the
agree.
road.
I'm not going to argue. They were fine. It was a coin flip against the Vikings. That's the point. I'm not like saying the Niners suck, but like,
and then the Browns game, they won if not for something called Moody kicking 9 feet to the right.
This is also Niners on a short week, Bengals off a bye, absolute dream situation for the Bengals.
That's baked into the line though. Like that's nothing new.
Not when all your players are hurt though.
I don't know. I have a hard time buying back into Burrow until I see him look like a human again.
Yeah, I'm with you, but at 3.5, I mean, I don't even know what the Niners. They looked a lot worse without Deebo and Trent Williams.
Trent is definitely more worrisome to me than Deebo. I think Deebo they can scheme some stuff up. They can divvy his targets up to other players.
This defense is materially worse. I think it's finally worse with a different coordinator. I think it is. Like,
but nothing supports.
I didn't see how this defense was playing as good as it was. When I look at the names across the roster, I don't think it's that great.
It's just they're elite at everything, though. I don't understand.
The Vikings just shredded them. I mean, Kirk Cousins destroyed them.
They didn't.
He did.
It was a couple of... I mean, that Addison play was just an absolute fluke. That changed the entire game.
The man had like 400 yards. I mean, what do you want from him? PJ Walker, dude. The Browns O-line was actually kind of crushing it in that game.
That's definitely the spot where 16th in pressure rate, where San Fran, historically, they just kept drafting edges and guys up front, and that was where they were winning. And that's definitely not the case, but everything else is supporting that they're playing just fine on defense. 4th in DVOA, 5th in EPA, 4th in pass D success rate. So this to me just comes down to the number, and I think people are going to absolutely pile Cincy. I don't think they'll still steam as much as Donnie's saying. I just want to be on whatever the opposite side of the contest is in this game, because I think whatever opinion they have is going to be a strong one, and I'm happy to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I wanted to love the Niners in this spot, but I do think it really depends on the number. Like, what's the number going to be on Saturday? Where's the line value going to be? If it's on the Bengals, then yeah, people are going to pile Bengals. But I don't see that happening. I don't really understand why Circa did the 3.5 here. when it was like 4.5 this afternoon. I don't get that.
Oh, it was 3.5 when
sure? Yeah, I definitely think it was.
Yeah,
down to
it went from
3.5.
5.5 to 3.5 when the news about Birdie came out, and then it went back to 4.5 everywhere. Because everyone quickly realized that those two idiots at quarterback are the same people, okay? Everyone came into the season, including us, saying it doesn't really matter who's quarterback. These guys are all kind of the same, and it's on Shanahan to figure it out. Now, all of a sudden, it changes because one guy gets concussion? I mean, what's the big deal?
We've been joking in the Discord, bit.ly/Discord Moose. Get your Darnold CPOI and MVP tickets. Because it's happening. All right, next split game. Speaking of those Browns at Seahawks. I've been slacking on the Sounders. Brett, I'll go to you first because this is your squad. If it's not the Steelers that I mentioned in the podcast that no longer exists, it's the Browns. You love this team, you love this defense, and you've got Cleveland in your top 5.
I think I either have Cleveland in my top 5 or have the other side of the Browns in my top 5 every single week. Last week was a sweat, but we got there with the Colts. This is the trenches spot of the week. This Browns pass rush against the Hawks offensive line. All I'm hearing this week, PJ Walker sucks. He doesn't belong in the NFL. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. You're getting more than a field goal here with this defense against Geno. They have not been able to protect him, and we know what Geno is when he's under pressure. I don't know how they stop Myles Garrett in this game, and that's it for me. Like, I know PJ Walker sucks. That's baked into this line. I'm fully understand.
Is it though? How is it only a 1.5? I mean, I know Deshaun has played horrific and is at this point probably a bad quarterback, but PJ Walker, how is the difference only a 1.5?
Is it a 1.5? I mean, it was look ahead was
look
what,
ahead
1.5?
Look ahead of 2, line's 3.5. That seems pretty rich for PJ
I saw
Walker.
1, to be honest.
Look ahead was kind of all over the place. I think last week it was 1. I saw 1.5, 1 and 2, but this just feels like too big a move. And why? Because of Deshaun? I don't care.
Mo, you're also on Cleveland, so pile on.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested in Cleveland after the big move, but then I'm also just like, PJ Walker on the road. I mean, I'm fine taking bad quarterbacks. I don't want to take them in a tough place to play on a long road trip. It makes me feel gross, but it is just that one matchup too for Cleveland that's mainly making me like it. But then I'm also like, what about these Seahawks injuries? I want to see what they hadn't even released their Thursday stuff by the time we were getting ready for this. So Kenneth Walker, with how much they run the ball, that might actually matter for them.
He didn't practice. Lockett didn't practice either. Yeah,
Lockett, Metcalf. I think Metcalf's coming back, but yeah, they have a lot of injuries too. Man, the right side of this Seahawks line is the idea of them competing with this Cleveland pass rush is terrifying. These players, they have players I've never even heard of. I mean, it's crazy what they're running out there. But yeah, Geno, like, he's either going to do something awesome when he's under pressure and throw an absolute dot to the corner of the end zone to DK Metcalf, or he's going to do something absolutely horrific. So your guess is as good as mine. And also look at the total for this game. Good Lord. I mean, you couldn't catch me laying -4.5 or whatever with a total of 38 unless I was very confident a certain game script was going to, play out.
Yeah, I just think that, I think the Hawks can cover this number with 14 points, honestly. How do the Browns score points? How?
With their
no
defense?
No Ford. It's just Hunt. Something PJ against a very good secondary.
Do we even know if Hunt is playing?
He practiced today. I think
I heard he was in a boot.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's worrisome when Geno is starting to. I said this on Breaking the Boxes. He looks like he's starting to regress to the guy that was on the Jets and Giants, who just would lose his mind at the sight of pressure. It's like he goes blank when the pocket starts to collapse, which is bizarre because last year, even in muddy pockets, he was so accurate and he was so aggressive in his game. I guess he was still aggressive. He still made some big throws, but those turnover-worthy plays have just started to turn their ugly head a little bit too much for Geno. And this is another spot where 73% of the tickets are on the Hawks. They're going to be a very popular side.
Yeah, but this could be Brett's rule of what did they bet it at, though? Is anybody laying 4.5 here?
Right. No, that's definitely for sure. This next game, Rams at Cowboys. This looks like it's just been stuck at 6 all week in favor of Dallas, and DP has the highest opinion on this game, and it's on Puka Nacua, Matty Stafford, and the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I trust this Rams offense at this point to be able to move the ball against a defense that I think is a little overrated. I mean, I know they're aggressive. I know they got some pieces, but I feel like things really changed when Diggs went out. I don't know. I don't feel like the Dallas defense is what it was made out to be coming into the season. And on the flip side, I think I like this Rams offense more and more every single week. I know Rich has a thing for Cooper Kupp, but he helps open things up on that offense. I think McVay can scheme some stuff up to move the ball. Ultimately, I think this 6.5 in the contest is just too many points, and the Rams can stay within that number, whether it's blow for blow, all game long, or a backdoor cover, something like that. I think 6.5 is just too much here.
I clicked the Rams, but I have it very low because, unlike Donnie, I don't know what this Cowboys defense is right now. They were awesome against the Chargers, but part of that probably has to do with the Chargers being absolute clowns and being incapable of moving the ball. Because post Diggs, this defense does look different. And even though Parsons has been on the field all season, they're still only 19th in pressure rate. So we know the Stafford cap. If Dallas can generate pressure, Rams might melt into a puddle and the Cowboys would have no problem covering the 6. But I just don't know if that's going to be the case from Big D. I wouldn't be shocked if it was. That's why I don't have very much conviction here. But I just can't guarantee it, which doesn't let me lay 6. Brett likes Big D, though. That smile on his face tells it all. Tell us why.
Yeah, why can't this just be the same as last week for this Rams offense? Facing elite pass rushers with a statue at quarterback and no way to stop Dallas from running up a score on them.
It could be.
And I think there's a good shot at that happening this week. I think this could very often be a blowout for Dallas off the bye. Stafford... I mean, Mo's talked about it every week. He can't move back there. And when he does face pressure, he has been awful this year. So I love Dallas in this spot.
Mo, you two have Big D, but you've got them low. Put a pin on this game.
Yeah, just by talent level, I think it's a fair line. But then just tiebreaker is Matt Stafford against a good pass rush. I'm worried that this could look like the Chargers game. I'm worried that it could look like the Steelers game. On each side of those teams, obviously, Dallas versus Chargers, they stymied that offense in a lot of the spots, and because of their pass rush, they had Herbert, who can actually move and throw off platform because he has a huge arm and is an athlete, and he was struggling. And then you have the Rams completely inept when the other team starts getting after Stafford. I mean, it's incredible that Cooper Kupp had 29 yards last week. I mean, that is incredible.
That's why.
Okay, but look at how many targets he gets. That's how inept their offense was when people started to get in Matt Stafford's face. I don't care what you think of Cooper Kupp. This is crazy. But the Rams' defense is terrible, too. They are terrible.
But what is this Cowboys offense? I still have no idea.
I don't know why the Cowboys haven't been scoring 30 points on these teams. Don't ask me.
That broken play to Pollard is like everything that's wrong with Dallas right now. You've got Dak, a guy who at his apex can create, can make big plays. You've got a guy like Pollard who is smart enough to make a good block and then leak out of the backfield and make a big play. But where is this stuff? And in that game, CeeDee Lamb, when he's fed, he was balling out. But where is it? These are things that should be happening at a higher rate, but they're just not. And I just don't know how predictive any of their success is on offense. Next game, New Orleans at Indianapolis. This has been ping-ponging back and forth, one on each side. It is showing one in favor of New Orleans in the contest, and I've got the highest opinion on this game, and it is on the Saints. And this cap for me was fairly easy. It is Gardner Minshew, a turnover-worthy play king against the New Orleans Saints, a defense which is very stout. 8th in EPA, 5th in success rate. They had the mini bye, 10 days rest. We know Carr is the absolute pits when it comes to putting up points, which is why I'm glad we only have to lay one in this scenario. But if something group can kick enough field goals and Gardner Minshew can hand the ball over to the Saints,
capping for kickers,
maybe we can get this cover. Who was the highest on those Colts? Looking across my sheet now. Looks like DP. You're up, kiddo. Defend Indianapolis.
I mean, you want to dump on Gardner Minshew. I mean, look at Derek Carr. This guy is... How far does he throw the ball on every pass? 2 yards? I mean, it's pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic, especially with the weapons that the Saints have, that I think they can push the ball a bit more downfield. I look at these two teams. I see very similar outfits on each side. So if I'm going to see that, I'm like, why aren't the Colts favored? I mean, maybe I'm just a fish there. I don't know, but that's how I see things here. I think this number is on the wrong side.
Dude, his ADOT is so short that the receivers don't know what to do when they throw the ball downfield, as evidenced by what happened with Olave last week. And then Carr just threw it out of bounds. Like, this offense is so inept. It's painful to watch. Need Jameis. Come on.
The only podcast where every week
always Jameis.
One of the hosts is pounding the table for Jameis Winston. 2 more split games. We're getting there, guys. Jags at Steelers is the next one. And if I remember correctly, as I move sheets here, DP has the highest opinion on Pittsburgh in this game. That's right. He has top 5 in his top 5. Kenny Pickett and them boys.
Yeah, I mean, as I said on the now forgotten episode, didn't do the late check of the injury reports, and it looked like Deontay Johnson was a miss at practice today with a hammy. So this could very much be tinker season here. If Deontay Johnson is good to go, I really like it here. I think it was evidenced last week, and I got to give shouts to Mo because he said on the pod, and we kind of jumped down his throat, that the Steelers were underrated on offense, getting some of these pieces back. I know Freiermuth didn't go and is now out, but Deontay Johnson helped, and it opened things up. So maybe that's a little bit of a key here against a defense that I still have questions about. You know, I know the Jaguars have looked better. I know they're on a 4-game win streak and all that sort of stuff, but I don't know. I feel like the Steelers can be fine here getting points at home. I think I love this sort of role for what Tomlin does and how he coaches his teams. And on the other side of the ball, TJ Watt, the Steelers defensive front, I think they can get after Trevor Lawrence enough to make him uncomfortable here and kind of stymie him putting up points to really run away with this thing.
Well, they're not in your top 5. Top 5 bubbled your top 5, Brett. Talk about Pittsburgh.
They might be in my top 5 after we do some tinkering on Saturday. Yeah, the Jags, they've won 4 in a row, but at no point during this win streak did I say, wow, this team looks really, really good. They benefited some positive spots in London against the Falcons and the Bills. Then they faced Gardner Minshew. They escaped last week against the Saints. They do get the mini bye, 10 days rest and prep for this one, but I don't know how much that really helps when, shouldn't this team be exhausted by now? How did they have to play 3 games after spending 2 weeks in London? This just feels like a sleepy spot as a road favorite going into Pittsburgh, where they have a disadvantage up front against the Steelers and this pass rush. So, look ahead, and this was 1.5 for the Jags. We're up to 2.5. I just think this is a good spot for Pittsburgh.
Mo is very low on the Jags, so I guess I have to pick up the shield. And I guess I'm just buying the Jags finally getting some rest. I mean, they looked like they were absolutely gassed in that second half against New Orleans, letting the Saints back into the game, nearly allowing that game to go into overtime if a tight end could catch a ball right in his hands. But they escaped. They got the dub. They got 10 days rest. And I don't know. I think I'm just anticipating the Jags to start to look like the team that we thought that they would be coming into this season. Lawrence looks a little bit sharper. He looked fine on the knee too. He looked more mobile last week than he had previously, which is funny that he hadn't practiced all week with the knee injury. I still think they miss Zay Jones a lot because they're another team that wants to live in 11, but without Zay, they don't have the personnel to be able to do it. So, yeah, not a lot of conviction, but ended up clicking the Jags in this spot. I lied. We still have two more because we have the Pats traveling down here to Miami.
Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team.
Take on the Dolphins. And just like a previous spot, the first game we talked about, where the preseason look ahead in that game was Panthers -3. This was a game where the Dolphins in the preseason were favored by 4 points. So what a lot of people will see is the 1 week look ahead was -12 coming into this game. So there is an 8-point adjustment from the preseason. This has now come down to, I'm seeing 8.5s in real life. It is 9.5 in Circa. A movement based on, I guess, the Patriots looking spry against the Bills, and then the Dolphins going on the road and losing to a good team, which happens in pro football. This was a very difficult cap for me. I initially wanted to love the Dolphins because I think that they might just get right back on track. But then Bill taking away Tyreek, a Tyreek who I guess he's not hurt. They just lied about his hip injury because he wanted to hang out with his family. I guess that's a thing. So I'm truly confounded by this spot. But Brett, the highest on this game, on the fish, in his top 5.
Yeah, laying points. That's how much I love the Dolphins this week. I never lay this many points. I usually just throw this shit at the bottom of my card, but here we are. Yeah, I like Miami a lot. Actually bet them -10 earlier this week. I was on the wrong side of a lot of early numbers this week. I'm done betting early in the week. This has been a nightmare. But I still really like this team. Even at 10, I like the Dolphins this week. Now, this will depend on these injuries. The injury report looked better here on Thursday, but you saw a 12 last week. I saw some 13s on the look ahead last week. Like, the Dolphins are supposed to roll in this spot. And now, they go back home against this putrid Patriots team that just beat the Bills. The Bills aren't even good right now. So what can we even take away from that win from New England last week? This should absolutely be north of 10 for me. I think this should be at least 10.5. So yeah, like I said, as long as the practice report on Friday looks promising for Miami, I like the Dolphins in this get right spot at home after a game that, they should have lost last week. That was a really good football team playing in prime time, and everybody watched that game too.
I think one of the adjustments that New England made that is noteworthy is they just dropped their ADOT down to 3. Essentially, they were like, okay, we can't protect Mac Jones, and we're going to get all of our slow assholes off the field. So we're going to get Pop Douglas out there, and we're going to get Kendrick Bourne out there, and we're just going to get them in space and just throw slants the whole game because we can't protect. And I think that's just really smart from BLB, right? Like, he could be stubborn. He could stick to whatever they were doing, but it wasn't working. So he was like, screw it. We're just going to dink and dunk and make it work. Mo, you too laid the points with the fish.
What are the Patriots? Does anybody know? Because it's like, okay, every time the Dolphins play one of these bad teams, they absolutely destroy them. Every time the Dolphins play a good team, they lose. Okay? So what happens when they play a middle-of-the-road team? I don't know because they haven't played any.
Are the Patriots
middle of the road? I think the Patriots are middle of the road. Like, I think they're better than these other teams like the Broncos and the Panthers. I think the Patriots are better, but they literally only played like one good game in the last month. But on paper, they should be, dude. This team had like an 8 expected win total or something. Like, this team should never have been as bad as they were. So I don't know what's going on with the Patriots. I don't know what to think about.
Even the stats that I'm showing, there's two big stats that are like my North Star when it comes to this. One's net yards per play and the other's net EPA. And you look, the Patriots' net yards per play is basically 0, which is middle of the road.
Fine. Like, but then it's minus 0.1.
But then they're 29th in net EPA. So it's like, I think I agree with you, Mo, that the Patriots are more middle of the pack than awful, which makes me want to take the points here. But I just don't know. DP, this is your squad. You screwed your face there when Mo said this was a middle of the road team, but you are taking the points.
Yeah, I mean, they're bad. Well, I'm worried about what this Dolphins team is going to look like on Sunday. They got to look ahead to the Chiefs in Germany. I don't know. Where are they playing this week? I have no idea. So, like,
Das Boot.
Yeah, Tyreek's taking days off. This Waddle injury, he was going in and out last week with a heating pad because of his back is acting up. Like, what's going to happen there? Is there potential that they rest them in spots because they got this big Chiefs match? I don't know. I feel like the Dolphins are... Listen, they're really effing good on offense. I mean, they have the ability to just hang a crap ton of points on everyone, especially this pretty bad Patriots team. I mean, I don't agree that the Patriots are middle of the road. I think they're pretty bad. I just feel like they're going to be sleeping because they've shown us at times in the season they can sleep. So when you sleep as a 9.5 point favorite, like, you can still get a win and get out of there. And like, so like, I guess I'm mostly concerned about that. That said, I will say the concern on my side is that it looks like everyone is going to be on the Patriots, which is also worrisome. I mean, I just see the public numbers and it looks like everyone is on the Patriots. So
I don't know that people are really going to take this game though.
Especially off a cover.
Should
I don't know if fake sharps are going to line up to take New England. I think the biggest injury, everyone's talking about Tyreek. I honestly think Connor Williams is the biggest injury to look for Miami because I don't know who that backup center is, but there was a stretch I thought he was going to get the yips. There were, I think, 2 snaps that were just outrageously poor, and then the third one was wobbly, and then he got it together. But I literally thought for the first time in pro football history, especially with the Dolphins playing pistol and shotgun, I thought we were going to have a center with the yips. And I was like, I was sitting there just waiting for it. I was like, this is going to be amazing television if this guy just forgets how to snap a football. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. Final split game. Man, 16-game slates are killers. Vikings at Packers. This is another one where I came into it. I thought that the number that was hung earlier in the week was going to stick around and that I was going to love it. But the Packers started to get bet, and this is showing pick'em in the contest. I thought we were going to get some actual points or a point with Minnesota, which would have been juicy, but now we're not. Because I guess the market continues to respect this Packers team that was favored on the look ahead when they absolutely shouldn't. There's no reason to like anything coming out of Green Bay. But on the other side, are we really going to buy Minnesota off of a win against the Niners? Certainly not. So to me, this is rule of Brett. I wanted to fade both of these teams, but they ended up playing against one another. And looking across, nobody really has a strong opinion on this game. Literally, Mo, you have the strongest opinion on this game on the Packers. Yeah, it is below the fold. You've got the pack. Bring us home. Put an exclamation point on the split game segment.
There's literally one reason why I clicked the pack, and you should know what it is. Everyone is going to have the Vikings. They will. I think this is a fair line, but everyone is going to have the Vikings. Everyone just watch the Vikings outplay. I'm just going to say it, Rich. I'm sorry. Outplay the Niners on national TV. A Niners team that everybody thought was incredible, and Kirk Cousins played like Superman. Okay, it's not going to happen again. This is like that Zach Wilson game against the Chiefs. I tried to fade him the next week. It didn't work out for me. Okay, but I'm still skeptical that Kirk Cousins can do that again. That being said, man, the Packers have a lot of injuries. But this is like such a big spot for them to keep their season alive at home against an offense that is probably way overrated right now and a defense that I think still stinks. But at the same time, the Vikings do look like a better team than the Packers.
Where do we think this closes?
I did look at the PFF grade, though. Jordan Love's been better when blitzed somehow this year. I don't know how. So maybe that helps him in this spot.
You asking where you think it closes, Brett?
Yeah, because it's 1.5 right now.
In favor of Minnesota, right?
Yeah,
I think
a
1.5, 2? Because who is betting Green Bay? It's a bonus point.
Nobody. So yeah, Vikings might.
Who's working 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, busting their ass, paying for gas, putting groceries on the table, and going to reach into their pocket for their hard-earned money and put it on the Green Bay Packers? Nobody. Nobody's going to do it.
It is a pretty good spot for them, though. Ugh.
It's not going to happen, and that line's moved like 4 points already.
But again, the biggest injury for me is this Jair, too. Just pops up as a DNP after a limited practice on Wednesday, which is very, very worrisome. All right. That's the longest split game segment of the season. I promise. Time for the Lone Wolves, of which we each have one. All right, Mo. It's the time I've been waiting for the entire episode. We go to the desert, where we have a double sounder game. The Baltimore Ravens travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. And for some reason, you are putting all of your chips in the middle, and you turn your hand over, and instead of having pocket aces, you've got pocket Arizona Cardinals. What's going on?
You know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on.
You do.
I don't.
There's no logical reason to bet the Cardinals. I understand that. Where have we heard that before? Oh, yeah. Pittsburgh plus 4.5. What happened? They won outright. Okay? This is just like that Steelers game. This is the Cardinals having absolutely nothing behind them except for the spot. Okay? This is the sleepiest spot of the year, dude. Ravens, you want to talk about exhausted? London, back home, then play a huge game, get a massive win, feeling themselves, now traveling cross country. They're going to be absolutely half asleep for the first 2 quarters of this game, and maybe they still cover like the Dolphins did against the Panthers. But I'm telling you, this game is going to start off 7-3 for Arizona. And it's going to be the middle of the second quarter, and people are going to be like, what's going on over there? Well, the Ravens are in the sleepiest spot of the year in a game they know it doesn't even matter if they win. Okay? That's what's going to happen in this game. That's just what I'm telling you. It's just the spot. That's all it is. And we've seen Arizona do this before.
Stop
the same
it. We're
sleepy
done.
spot
No, we're done.
for the
We're
Cowboys,
done with Arizona.
and they won outright.
We're done.
They did.
But the difference is the Cowboys are a team that historically falls asleep. Every season, they pick a spot or several spots, and they absolutely no-show. I just don't anticipate that from a Harbaugh team. And the one thing, let's clear it up. People have been buzzing about it. Twitter, X, whatever platform, Threads, Blue Sky. People have been talking about Kyler Murray, full participant. This guy's not playing. He's not playing this week. He's probably not playing next week. They have a very soft landing in 2 weeks. I think it's against the Raiders. They got a bad team in 2 weeks. Soft landing. Bring him back. But they're not going to bring him back against the Ravens. That's just not something. I would be flabbergasted if Kyler Murray was the quarterback for Arizona in this game. Yeah, it all seemed to click last week for Baltimore. For the first time.
But the Lions didn't show up. That's another thing. You're buying the Ravens off a game where they got a fake blowout. I mean, not fake like they earned it, but dude, if they played that game tomorrow, the line would still be 3.
Agreed. But I don't think we can take away the fact that they were just brilliant. They had a game plan and they executed it perfectly.
You guys are buying the team that looked the best last week. Great way to make money betting pro football.
Well, certainly nobody's buying it with much fervor because as I look across, I've got the Ravens below the fold. Brett's got the Ravens below the fold. DP's got the Ravens 4 from the bottom. So not a lot of conviction from us Ravens backers this week. We go to the Meadowlands for the Battle of New Jersey. And Brett does not love my beloved. Because he's backing Tyrod Taylor, his true love, and the New York Giants +3 in the contest. Talk about it.
Yeah, my guy, my favorite maybe my favorite Bill of all time. Why not? I love to. I mean, and mostly just because of the way he was treated here in Buffalo. All the guy did was lead the Bills to their first playoff appearance in a billion years.
I would love to hear these rankings. They're just, your top 5 Bills are probably the 5 biggest losers imaginable. But that's what
Brett
happens.
Go to that game in Jacksonville?
But that's what he was. But that's what happens. I'm right there with you, Brett. Because if I named my top 5 Jets, it's just a bunch of losers. Because we root for loser franchises who've never won anything.
My favorite Chief is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's like, of course. It's Patrick Mahomes, probably Tony Gonzalez, although Gonzalez didn't win shit. Travis Kelce, like, you're listing goats. Me, it's like Santana Moss, Lavernius Coles. Like,
Can I do mine? Tom Brady,
Dante Scarnecchia,
Rob Gronkowski,
Dante
loved
Scarnecchia.
Rodney Harrison, Julian Edelman, Randy
Cool.
Moss. I mean, come on.
Cool.
But yeah, this is just me backing trusty old Terod, who goes out every week and covers because nobody believes in this dude. But all he does is go out and show up, man. And like, I get it. There's nothing exciting about Taylor, but he is the anti-Daniel Jones. Against this defense, the turnover-worthy plays would pile up against the Jets with Daniel Jones under center, and the Jets would take advantage. Terod is elite at protecting the ball. Take a sack. Throw the ball away. Make the smart decisions. Throw the ball downfield. And that's what he does well. He throws a beautiful deep ball. Dable actually trusts him to make these throws. So, yeah, I mean, like, even though I am a believer in this Jets team, I don't think the market is giving enough credit yet to Terod Taylor. And so I will take the points here with the Giants.
Throws the ball downfield, but it's going to be tough to throw the ball downfield now that Sauce Gardner and DJ Reader are likely to be back in this game. I've become somewhat of an expert on the concussion protocol with these guys being out this last week because they had to bye. And then everyone freaked out when they were still in concussion protocol. But everyone needs to pump their brakes because there are certain parts of the 5-step process that you can't even complete unless you're in the building, which they needed to return from the bye week to do so. The final 2 steps are a limited practice and a full practice. So they must have gotten their limited practice in on Tuesday when there is no practice report because they were both FPs on Wednesday. They remained FPs on Thursday, so they're both on track to get out of the protocol. But this is my absolute last pick because I don't know how you lay points with Zach Wilson in pro football. Mo, this nearly made your card. You nearly put Zach Wilson with -3 next to his name in your top 5.
What about Breece Hall with -3? Why can't they just hand the ball off? This Jets offense isn't the worst if they can get the running game going. And the Giants kind of stink at stopping the run. What happened to this run defense? Breece Hall is not the guy you want to hit clean holes, all right? That guy is going to rumble for some yards if he does. And then we've seen that can, at times, open up some lanes for Zach Wilson. And, dude, I don't know how. I love Tyrod too, man. But I don't know how he's going to move the ball on this Jets D. I don't know how.
Man,
This is
I'm
a
worried
step
about this
above
game.
the Bills. Okay?
I'm worried about this game.
Especially
This is-
the injured Bills.
This is such a game that we should win. I'm so worried. Coming out of the bye, the Jets have been horrific off the bye with Saleh. I'm very worried about this game. Just coming out and puking on our cleats. Because I mean, the Giants should not be able to move the ball against us in this game. All right, I'm up next. And people will be shocked to hear that I'm laying 6.5 points on the road with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm done with Sam Howell, guys. I tried saying he was a good thrower, that he was aggressive, that he was frisky. I'm just done. I'm done after what I saw last week against that aforementioned pathetic Giants defense. The Commanders could not move the rock at all in that game. And yes, the last time these two teams met was basically the Howell breakout, where he was throwing the ball all over the pitch against the Eagles. But I think that's just an outlier occurrence in a game where the Eagles should be able to do the trenches thing, no problem. I know Washington is stout up front, but nobody is as strong as Philadelphia when it comes to line play. And the most fascinating part of this game is what is happening with Jalen Hurts, because there are reports that he was in a brace, but he's not even on the injury report. So is this Philly playing coy? Is this just Jalen Hurts being overly protective? I'm not sure. Did not have this high. This was 4 from the bottom for me. So I have to move on to somebody who had a strong opinion on this game. And that is, well, DP and Mo are tied. So who wants to talk commies? Formerly racial slurs, formerly football team, now Commanders.
I just got one thing to say. This is the spot you just close your eyes and click the dog. So I don't know what Mo's going to add, but that's my cap, and I have no idea why the hell you would click the Eagles here, because, Rich, this is a Gridiron Gamble
that's
special.
Why. I'm trying to get away from
click
this. I'm
one.
trying to get away from this.
NFC East
sometimes
dogs.
it works. Yeah, come on. 6.5. Come on, man.
I'm actually going to bet Washington if I can get 7 here.
Mo just led the show about talking about us taking the Browns every week when they were plus infinity and how that was
This is way more than 3.5 at least, or whatever, 3. But I'll actually bet Washington at 7. I think some 7s are going to come up. That's another reason I kind of like Washington in the contest. I don't think if the line is 7, anybody is going to take Washington. I saw it was kind of mixed between juice 6.5s and 7s earlier. But we've seen Washington stand up to this Eagles team multiple times now in the last 2 seasons, man. They beat them last year. They almost beat them on the road this year. They know they can compete with these guys. They have the horses up front on both sides of the ball, weirdly enough, because I don't know how their offensive line is doing it, but they're doing okay. It's just Sam Howell's a lunatic. But on the other side of the ball, they're winning and getting pressure at times. And dude, Jalen Hurts is sucked under pressure this year. So if they can get any pressure at all, dude, what the right tackle? Why am I blanking on his name? Lane Johnson. He was getting whooped last week by Jalen Phillips. Whooped. I don't know if it's the injury or what, but this Eagles line might be beatable right now. And if they are, Chase Young looks like he's back. That dude is dominating right now.
Lane Johnson got away with several holds in that game, too.
Several holds. Okay, he was hog-tying people. How are they missing these calls?
You know why.
I feel bad for the Dolphins a little bit because they got skunked by the refs multiple times in that game.
You know why they missed those calls.
The guy on the sideline was right in front of that one play where there was a double flag. It was face mask and PI, and they missed them both. Good work, buddy.
The final lone wolf, the Las Vegas Raiders travel to Detroit Motor City. DP's taking the man that doesn't sleep. DP, the only person. Gridiron Gamble rule. Checked it off. Bet on the team that looked...
I'm surprised I'm a lone wolf.
Bet on the team that looked the worst last week.
You know what this is? You know what this is? Remember when the Bills played the Raiders and we all knew the Bills were going to blow the doors and get right? Dan Campbell has probably had the Lions run from Baltimore back to Detroit, okay, after that performance. I mean, they are going to wreck this stupid Raiders team. I mean, what do you want me to say?
This is a tinker spot for me because if Jimmy Garoppolo, Brett Colson's number 2 swoon, number 1 is Tyrod, number 2 is Jimmy G. If Jimmy G's in this game, then the back door is open because Jimmy G can make some throws and has 2 good weapons, and they can potentially score some points, enough for them to get a cover in this game. If he's not in this game, then 9 might be too little. And this needs to be double digits.
Jimmy's going to play, I think. I thought they said they were pretty confident he was playing.
I think so, too. But with this protocol stuff, I don't know. Or is he neck or is he protocol? He was protocol, right? Yeah, he was protocol.
If he plays, he's going to get hit once and be back out of the game because he is an ultimate
Okay, that's
baby.
fair.
It looks like Branch is off the injury report entirely for the Lions, which is massive because he's been a big piece in their secondary. Yeah, I'm the highest on this game, but I can't muster much of an opinion other than if Jimmy G's upright, the Raiders are interesting, but I definitely agree that the Lions bet the team that looked the worst last week. That's fair. And this Raiders team is just absolutely pathetic. I mean, they lost the game to something Bajan last week. Like, it doesn't get worse than that. So those are the Lone Wolves. Mo has the Cardinals because it's the spot. Brett has the Giants because he loves Tyrod. I have the Eagles because I hate Sam Howell. And Donnie has the Lions because Detroit, the entire team walked back from Baltimore to Detroit last week. All right, strap in. It's time for the card.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Brett was a perfect 5-0 last week. Mo and I were both 4-1. DP was 3-2. So we'll start with Minotti, who has, like most of us, a split game. But this is a split game that I absolutely love.
This is not going to be a popular one among the collective.
I don't think anything's going to be popular when people open their mouths to give their pick.
I've got the number 1 rookie quarterback in the NFL, Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers against the Texans.
You're shaking your head, Mo, but there's going to be a lot more head shaking when you give us your
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I can't wait for Tinker season. I hope our card looks completely different and this podcast was a complete waste of time.
Who do you got, Mo?
Well, Rich already spoiled it. I have Arizona. It's veto season, I'm sure. So.
I have to sweat this team
No, we don't
again.
necessarily
spot.
have to. It
It's
could
the
be
spot.
Tinker season.
I've been told it's the spot. I'm up next, and because Brett sniped mine, so if it's Tinker season, then I might be interested in the Niners. But as it stands, my number 2 pick is the Saints. How's that for a palate cleanser? We get to fade Gardner Minshew.
I have to sweat this stupid team again. Derek Carr again.
You get to anti-sweat
I
Gardner
hate this
Minshew.
card.
He's going to be in the red zone 7 times, throwing the ball to the freaking 18th row.
Regression
like normal.
to
It's
the
going to be
mean,
unbelievable.
Brett.
Cheering for field goals. I hate this Saints team so much.
All right,
You were
Donnie
all
is
over
up.
them earlier this season.
I know, and they failed me, and I'm over it.
Donnie's up next. Another split game. So far it's all split games and a lone wolf.
I mean, it's my
That's
number
correct.
2 pick. I need to make that clear. Okay. It's the Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers playing host to the Jaguars.
Because my number 1 pick was the
Yeah.
Texans. Just putting that out there.
Love it.
Man, oh man.
We've
let's
never
get to
had
it.
a good record when we do this. We should just spin a
agree.
wheel.
It's so true.
Okay, you bring back the roulette and just see what it lands on and just go with those sides.
I agree. I'm not happy right now. Let's get happy. Let's talk about the collective pick.
The collective chooses the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos, a team so good that off of a win, they had their head coach in an existential crisis, circling a sushi restaurant, not going into it, even though he, quote, doesn't like sushi. He didn't know what he was doing. He just lost his mind. Sean Payton, off of a win. That's the team that we have. Mo, you've talked about it all week on the Lions programming. This Denver Kansas City matchup, which is a rematch of an earlier Thursday night football game. And it's your Kansas City chef. So lead us off. Why, as a collective, do we like Denver so much in this spot?
Well, for one thing, we're getting a good number. Most of the market is at 7 here. I guess I'm a little bit worried that would put people onto Denver, but I just can't imagine people are going to want to click on Denver. if anything, you would think maybe a few people would have Chiefs after they rolled last week. And they crushed Denver really the last time these two teams played. Was very fortunate to get a push on plus 11, I think I had. But they have some matchup edges in this spot. Their run blocking has been among the best in the NFL. The Chiefs stink at stopping the run. I mean, Joshua Kelly was ripping off 50-yard touchdowns last week, and that has not been an isolated incident. I think they're third from the bottom in EPA per play allowed. So this is all just about not falling into a horrible negative script, basically. You also introduce a little bit of chaos, and Rich's rule of chaos favors the underdog. Could be some snow and cold temperatures here. I'm thinking this line is a little bit too big, and it should probably be 6.5 or 7. So I definitely like the Broncos at 7.5. And this is the healthiest the Broncos have been all year. I mean, look at the injury. It's like 5 players long. It's crazy. And that's another thing too. When you're talking about the running game, Nick Bolton is a monster. His replacement is very good. Drew Tranquill is a good player, but he's terrible in run support. He can't tackle at all. He's a really good blitzer and pretty solid in coverage too. But if Denver comes out and pounds the rock here, we were talking about Javonte actually looks pretty good the last couple of weeks, man. I think he's looking more like himself. So maybe Denver can get it going a little bit on the ground. They know about this streak. They know they suck. They know the Chiefs have won 16 times in a row. This is obviously insane. These guys should give a great effort here.
They look good last week. I mean, we've been crapping on this Packers offense, but Denver's defense went out and did the thing, right? And one of the Packers touchdowns was on a 4th down where the ball caromed off a player and fell into another player's lap. So even that was extremely fortunate for Green Bay to have scored a touchdown there. Brett, you're making a face. You are the lowest on these Denver Broncos.
Yeah, because I feel like all we're hoping for here is sleepy Chiefs. Like, if Pat Mahomes wants to score 50 against this defense, he will score 50, but maybe he doesn't want to with the trip overseas
They've
coming.
been sleepy Chiefs all season.
I know.
Other than one game.
2 games, but
You guys
yeah.
had
Then,
fun.
yeah, look ahead spot, dude. Miami, that's a big... both sides have this circled, all right?
Of course.
Okay, the other consensus game that didn't make the card, which
is going to be my pick now, of course, because I love you guys.
Wow.
Well done,
Brett's
sir.
favorite team.
Because they're going to win by 8,000
Brett's favorite
points.
team in the entire NFL.
No, I want the Cardinals on the card. Give me the
The Los
Cardinals.
Angeles Chargers play host to Tyson Bagent and the Chicago Bears in prime time. This was a 9.5 look ahead. And for some reason, it's come off of the look ahead because the the Las Vegas Raiders went and laid a giant dump in the middle of Soldier Field and just decided not to play pro football. And the Bears won one for the Gipper. They won one for Shepherd Rams' own, Tyson Bagent. But now they have to go play an actual football team on the road in prime time. And Mo, how in God's name does something called Bagent move the football and get first downs in this game?
Don't ask me, because I ain't expecting it to happen. I mean, this is... Dude, they had an ADOT of 3 in that game, okay? That's going
Every
to work.
single pass play was roll out, cut the field in half. Somebody was running a 5-yard drag, and for whatever reason, there was never a Raider there to cover that person. I don't understand what
That
happened.
and just handing off straight to Deontay Foreman. I mean, good
Yeah.
luck doing that against a real NFL team. I get that the Chargers have sucked so far, but dude, this was still a team that was 25-1 to win the Super Bowl. Like, they have a lot of talent, okay? They are not as bad as they've played. They have gotten crushed by some extremely strong offenses, the Chiefs, the Dolphins. Now they face Bagent at home with their season on the line. They literally cannot lose this game or it's just over.
Ooh, Mickey, close yours.
Sorry, Mickey. You can't go to 2-5. You still have another game against the Chiefs on the schedule. I mean, dude, they know they can't. It's Bajent on the road after he just won with a 3 ADOT against a backup quarterback at home. This is completely different. Multiple injuries on the Bears secondary. You got Justin Herbert, who knows he has royally sucked the last 2 games, missing easy throws left and right. I'm sorry, Matt Clark. He has been horrible, absolutely horrible. It has nothing to do with variance or luck. Herbert has sucked, and I expect him to be better. So the Chargers should roll. They should win this game by double digits very easily.
But how many times have we said this, and they never do? They never
This is
run
against
away
a
from teams.
quarterback
They're
who's
always
below
in
threshold
games.
on the road.
This is a Division II quarterback. For all of his flaws, at the end of the day, Brandon Staley is a defensive coach who is not going to allow a Division II quarterback to come in on the road and look competent.
This is like Jeremy Lin coming out, making those threes. Last 2 weeks, people get some film on him, and he never scores another NBA point.
Yeah,
Okay?
this is the Heat. This is the Heat literally making Jeremy Lin forget how to dribble. That's what this game is. I wanted to love this. I'm glad that you're doing the damn thing, Mo. Way to step up, buddy. Brett, again, you're the lowest on this. You're very worried over there.
Well, for the reasons I just said. Like, I don't even remember the last time the Chargers blew a team out.
What is if you had to make the Bears team total, Brett, what would you make it?
Win total?
No, team
or
total.
Team total for
in this game. On the road at Los Angeles, something called Bajent at quarterback.
I know.
13 and a half.
Yeah, like
But the
12.
number is like 19 and a half. That's the crazy part.
Because the total's 46 and this line is only 8.5. So yeah, for those of you in your real betting ventures, run, don't walk to bet Bears team total under.
It's going to be in my account. I promise you that.
Okay, so the card. The collective has the Broncos. Brett has the Panthers. Mo had the Cardinals, but now has the Chargers. I've got the Saints. Donnie has the Steelers. I definitely can still tinker because injuries are going to dictate a lot with the Friday reports. And we're just going to have to see what's best for the collective. Survivor. Brett, have to get a recap of last week. This went to 10, so I think you waved the white flag in some spots. What happened in week 7? And let's start with you as we look forward to week 8.
Yeah, so I had 6 entries still alive. I was planning on using 5 of them on the Cardinals, and then, Sunday morning steam on the Seahawks made me very nervous. So I moved a couple entries to the Chiefs, and fortunately the Chiefs were able to win, so I got half of my entries through, which actually turned out pretty good, honestly, even though the Hawks advanced, because the Bills lost, the Niners lost, all those flip teams that people were on lost. So, man, if only the Seahawks didn't win, I'd be in such a good spot right now. But still, overall, I think a pretty good week for Survivor last week.
So let's move on to week 8. Mo, you write the column for thelines.com. Who are the chalk picks? Who are your picks? Give us an update.
Well, the chalk is the Chargers, but I like the Chargers, obviously, since I am willing to lay 8.5. So if you have the Chargers available, I think firing away on the Chargers is fine. I actually like the Bills a lot because it just seems like a spot where nobody else is going to have the Bills left, and they're massive favorites. Obviously, that's going to come home. I recommended that to somebody in the Discord today when they were asking about it. I thought it was a good spot to take the Bills if you somehow still had them. But other than that, it's going to be the basic chalk. Detroit, Baltimore. These should be good picks. I'd be a little more worried about Detroit, I think, just because they actually face a passing offense that has some ability to beat their secondary. While I do expect the Cardinals to be good against the spread side, it's hard to imagine they're actually going to beat Baltimore unless Baltimore really mails it in. But there's some really...
That's who I'm taking. I'm taking Baltimore.
Yeah, there's some really low owned ones that you can do too this week. I like Jets and Texans, man, because I like them both against the spread a little bit. I know you guys
just such a
disagree
week.
Clearly, but
There's so many touchdown favorites. It's one of those weeks where like one of them is going to lose, and the people that picked that one team are going to be so mad because there were so many other touchdown favorites. So yeah, you just have to avoid the landmine.
You're never going to use the Jets again, for sure.
What are you talking about? We got some cupcakes coming up.
Where?
We got home Commanders.
I don't know if I would call it a
What?
cupcake.
Sam Howell against this defense?
That's I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be 3. 3's good right now for the Jets for sure. And Texans, I can't get there with you. Carolina stinks, you guys. But people might use Texans when they face Arizona at home. So, but Kyler Murray might be back by then. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I think what you
I
guys
don't
are
know if
also
Kyler Murray's
discounting.
coming back. Do we think Kyler Murray's actually coming back?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Well, he has to try out for next year, whether
How
it be the
committed
Cardinals
to
or
the
some other
tank
team.
Are they? That's, I guess, what I'm asking you guys.
Well, don't they have the Texans pick too? Which I guess isn't going to be that
What
great.
good is that going to do them?
Yeah, since Stroud is goat. I think what you guys are discounting with the Jets is that Rodgers might be back for that game.
Why are people committed to this? Are they joking?
Well, because he's committed to it. He's a psychopath. He's going to
Doesn't
re-injure
not
himself.
matter.
That's the most likely scenario is that he's going to come back and immediately shred his ACL.
Yeah, this is kinetic chain, whatever. You can't do it, okay?
Yeah. All right, that's a long one. 15 games. It's not our fault. It's not our fault that the NFL broke the schedule. I was told that they used AI, but they ruined it. But that's the pod. Follow these guys on Twitter. At Brett Colson, COLLSON, at Donnie_Peters, and at Mo Noora. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. Best of luck in all your betting ventures. Absolutely need 5-0. That would get us to 20-10, right? On the season? No? Bad math? 30, what am I doing? 30-15? 25 and 15. Math.
25 and 15.
I was close. I was in the neighborhood. 25 and 15. I mean, 20 and 15. You look at it, you're like, oh, 5 games over? It's tough to pick this high percentage.
I guess
Keep it
nobody has
rolling.
brought this up, but I do want to throw this out there real quick. Do we have any equity to chop the last quarterly spot if we went 5-0 with all ultra leverage sides?
I don't think so. I don't think 5 losses is going to do it.
Yes.
You say yes, Donnie?
We have 4 losses.
No, we went 1-4, 4-1. So.
Okay, 5 losses. I mean, I think we could
No.
I think the leaders are 14-1 right now.
You're just in. This is Donnie, ultra optimist all the time. It's not possible.
Did you listen to the question, sir? The question was
I said
with
if we had
leverage.
all
Last
5
week
He said
max
ultra leverage.
Last week, thank you. You're welcome.
Was really good
You're
for
welcome.
us.
Max leverage on the Chiefs. You're welcome.
We got several max leverage spots.
You're welcome.
Last week.
What I'm telling you guys is we need
very
the
good.
Titans.
What I'm telling you guys is we need the Niners.
God, I would love the Titans.
We
this
need
week.
the Niners. Bengals top 5. All right, there will be tinkering. Let me play the music. Let's get out of here. All right, boys and girls. Peace. At Gridiron Gamble for the update. Out.